Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Practical English Podcast. I'm your host, Mike.
And I'm Angela. It's great to be with you all again for another episode.
Today, we've got a really essential topic, one that comes up constantly in daily life. We're going to be talking about how to talk about your job or your studies in English.
Think about it. Whenever you meet someone new, whether it's at a party, a conference, or even a job interview, one of the first questions you'll hear is,
So, what do you do?
Exactly. And having a clear, confident answer not only makes a great first impression, but it also opens the door to a more interesting conversation.
Absolutely. So in this episode, we'll break it down into easy steps, from the basic answers to describing your responsibilities, sharing your feelings about it, and even asking good follow-up questions.
Ready to get started? Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's begin with that fundamental question. You might hear it in a few different ways, right, Angela?
That's right. The most common is, what do you do? But someone might also ask, what do you do for a living? Or what line of work are you in?
And for students, the question is usually more direct, like, what are you studying? Or what's your major?
So for the simplest answer, you can use the structure, I'm a, and then your job title. For example, I'm a software engineer, I'm a nurse, I'm a graphic designer, or I'm a chef.
Right, and for students, I'm a student works, but it's even better to be specific. Say, I'm studying business, or my major is psychology.
That's a great catch-all. For example, if you're a chef, you could say, I work in hospitality. Or if you're a financial analyst, you could say, I work in finance. It's simple and effective.
Another really useful structure is I work in, followed by your industry. This is great if your job title's complicated. You could say, I work in the tech industry, or I work in education.
That makes sense. It gives a clear picture without getting lost in details. And what about talking about your company?
Good question. You'll often use I work for followed by the company name, like I work for a large marketing agency, or I work at, which can refer to the company or the place, like I work at the university library.
Okay, that's clear. But what if you're not currently working? That can be a tricky situation to explain.
It can, but there are some great positive phrases you can use. You could say, I'm between jobs at the moment, or I'm currently looking for a new opportunity in finance.
Yeah, looking for a new opportunity sounds very proactive and positive. I like that. Okay, so now that we have the basic answer, people will often want to know more. They'll ask things like, oh, interesting, what does that involve?
This is where you can talk about your key responsibilities. A fantastic professional sounding phrase is, I'm responsible for, followed by your main tasks.
Right. So if you're a teacher, you might say, I'm responsible for planning lessons, teaching classes of about 30 students, and grading their assignments.
Perfect. Another great one is describing what a normal day looks like. A typical day involves...
For a marketing manager, that could be, a typical day involves analyzing campaign data, meeting with the creative team, and writing copy for our social media channels.
That gives such a clear idea of the job. For students, you can adapt this easily. You can talk about what your course entails, and it works for other professions too. For someone in a skilled trade, like an electrician, they might say, my job mainly involves installing and maintaining electrical systems in new buildings. It can be quite hands-on, and I'm often working with blueprints.
Totally. You could say, my program focuses on, for example, my program focuses on sustainable architecture, or the course involves a lot of group projects and presentations.
Yeah, that works well. You could also mention a specific, interesting project. Right now, I'm working on a research paper about the history of jazz music.
That's a great conversation starter. The key is to move from the general job title or subject to the specific actions you perform.
Okay, now for the next layer of the conversation. Sharing your feelings. This is how you connect with the other person. Let's start with the positives.
Yes, people love to hear what you're passionate about. A simple way to start is, the best part of my job is, or what I enjoy most is.
So you could say, the best part of my job is helping customers solve their problems. It shows you care.
Exactly. Or you can use powerful adjectives. I find my work really rewarding because I get to be creative. Other great words are fulfilling, interesting, or motivating.
Rewarding is a great one. And on the flip side, how do we talk about challenges without sounding like we're complaining?
The key is to frame it professionally. You can say, the most challenging part is, for instance, is meeting tight deadlines.
Right. It acknowledges the difficulty without being negative about the job itself. You could also say, my job can be quite demanding at times, but I enjoy the challenge.
That's a fantastic structure. It balances the negative with the positive. For something you just don't like, you can use the softer phrase, I'm not a big fan of, or I'm not so keen on.
For example, I love teaching, but I'm not a big fan of all the paperwork.
Precisely. It's honest and relatable.
So you've shared information about yourself. The great conversation is a two-way street, so it's crucial to ask questions back. This shows you're interested in the other person.
Absolutely, Mike. The easiest follow-up is simply, what about you? But you can be more specific. If someone tells you their job, you can ask, oh, that sounds fascinating. How did you get into that?
That's a great open-ended question. For a student, you could ask, what made you choose that major? Or what are your plans for after you graduate?
You can also ask about their experiences by saying, what's the best part about working at your company? Or what's the most interesting project you've worked on?
These kinds of questions really show you're listening and engaged, and they can turn a simple exchange into a memorable conversation.
Totally. It's all about curiosity.
All right, that was a huge amount of useful information. Let's wrap things up with a quick summary for our listeners. Okay, so to really put this all into practice, we thought it would be a great idea to do a little role play. We'll show you what a natural conversation about jobs might sound like. You'll hear us use a lot of the phrases we've just talked about. You know, Angela, that brings up another great point. To sound even more natural and fluent, it can be really helpful to know some common idioms and more advanced vocabulary related to the workplace.
Great idea. Let's imagine we're at a professional networking event. I'll start. Hi there, I'm Angela. It's a pleasure to meet you. Let's do it. First, for the basic answer to what do you do, use simple phrases like I'm or I work in, or I'm studying.
Hi, Angela. I'm Mike. Great to meet you too. So what do you do?
Oh, absolutely. That's a fantastic idea. These are the kinds of phrases that native speakers use all the time, and they can really make your English sound more polished. Where should we start? I work in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm a project manager for a company that develops new medicines.
Right. Then to add more detail, describe your task with I'm responsible for, or a typical day involves. Wow, that sounds fascinating. I imagine that's a very rewarding field to be in. What does a typical day involve for you?
Step 3, share your feelings. To talk about the positives, say, the best part is, or I find it really rewarding. For the challenges, use the most challenging aspect is. It varies a lot, but a typical day involves coordinating between our research labs and the marketing team, tracking project budgets, and basically making sure we're hitting our deadlines. The most challenging part is definitely managing unexpected delays in the research phase.
And finally, don't forget to ask questions back. Show your interest with questions like, how did you get into that? Or what do you enjoy most about it? I can imagine. But what you do is so important. The best part must be seeing a project through to completion and knowing it could help a lot of people.
Our best advice is to take a few minutes to think about your own situation. Prepare 1 or 2 sentences for each of these steps. Practice saying them out loud.
That's the best tip. A little preparation goes a long way in building confidence. Well, that's all the time we have for today. We really hope you found this episode helpful.
Thanks for tuning in to the Practical English Podcast. Join us next time for more tips and tricks to help you communicate effectively.
Until then, happy learning, everyone. Bye for now.
Goodbye.